"Get out of the car, now," shouted the deputy, his weapon drawn. "I live here, sir." "This is my driveway," the young man said, hands raised. "Don't move." The officer screamed, yanking him out and slamming him against the hood. 2 minutes later, backup arrived. One officer leaned in, whispered something to the deputy. The deputy's face turned pale. He looked back at the man he just cuffed and finally saw his badge. But it was too late. The camera had recorded everything. And this time, it wasn't going away. Subscribe and tell us where you're watching us from. The rain hadn't stopped for hours. Streets in the Lincoln Heights suburb of Dallas shimmered under flickering street lamps. At 11:47 p.m., a silver Lexus slowly turned into a quiet cul-de-sac. The driver, a 28-year-old black man named Terrell Monroe, had just finished a double shift at the district courthouse. He looked exhausted, but calm. He lived here. This was home. He parked in his own driveway, turned off the engine, and sighed. Just as he reached for his briefcase on the passenger seat, red and blue lights flashed behind him. "Come on, man," Terrell muttered under his breath. A police SUV blocked his driveway. One deputy got out, hand on his holster. No siren. No call. Just instinct. "License and registration," barked the deputy before Terrell could even open the door. "I'm parked, sir. In my own driveway. Is there a problem?" "Step out of the vehicle, now." Terrell hesitated. He'd been through this before. Too many times. But never here. Never this close to his front door. "Can I ask what this is about?" "I set out. Now." The officer reached for the door handle. Terrell raised both hands where they could be seen. "I'm not resisting, but this is my house. I work for the—" Before he could finish, the door flew open. The deputy grabbed him, twisted his arm, and slammed him against the hood. "You matched a suspect. Don't make this harder on yourself." The rain soaked Terrell's shirt. His badge, tucked in his inner pocket, pressed against his chest like a cruel joke. Inside the house, porch lights flickered on. Curtains shifted. A neighbor stepped onto their porch and quickly stepped back inside. The second patrol car pulled up. One of the officers stepped out, glanced at the scene, then froze. He walked quickly to the deputy. "That's Terrell Monroe, man. Civil Rights Division. Courthouse 3 blocks from here." The deputy turned to look again. Terrell didn't speak. He just stared back, wet, humiliated, and silent. The cuffs clicked off. "You can go," the deputy muttered. Terrell picked up his soaked briefcase from the driveway, opened his front door, and entered without a word. But he didn't sleep that night. And the next morning, he didn't go to work. He went back to the station to file a report. What he didn't know was that someone had already posted the body cam footage on a private server used internally, and someone else was watching. And they weren't going to let it slide. At the station, the front desk officer looked up as Terrell entered, soaked from the morning drizzle, a folder tucked under his arm. "Can I help you?" "I'd like to file a complaint. Use of force. Unlawful detainment." The officer blinked, unsure whether to offer a form or call a sergeant. Terrell placed his ID on the desk. "You work for the courthouse, right?" "Civil Rights Division." "That's correct." The name clicked. The officer picked up the phone. "Wait here." Minutes passed. Then came Sergeant Keene, a man with thinning hair and a worn badge. He sized up Terrell instantly, as if trying to calculate how much trouble this might cause. "What's the issue?" "One of your deputies, badge 6047, forcibly removed me from my vehicle while I was parked in my own driveway. No warrant. No warning. Claimed I matched a suspect. I want to file a formal report." Keene's face stiffened. "You sure you want to do that? Could have been a misunderstanding. We get a lot of—" "I'm sure." Terrell laid the printed complaint on the counter. 2 typed pages. Names, time, location, even badge number. Keene didn't touch it. "You work with the DA, don't you?" "I don't answer to them. I'm civil rights. Just saying, sometimes things get complicated. Why not let internal affairs review it quietly?" Terrell's eyes narrowed. "No. I want this on record. And I want the body cam footage preserved." Keene exhaled sharply, grabbed the papers, and walked away without another word. That same night, back at his apartment, Terrell received an email from a private account. "Watch your back. They're already talking about you. Anonymous." He stared at it. No subject line. No signature. No reply option. He didn't forward it. Didn't panic. Just closed the laptop and reached for his phone. He called his landlord. "I want to install a camera outside my door. Tomorrow. Everything all right?" "Not yet." The next morning, his building's front window was shattered. Nothing stolen. No forced entry. Just a message. Someone knew where you lived. Terrell filed another report. But this time, the officer at the desk didn't type anything. Just nodded, said, "We'll take care of it," and tossed the complaint into a drawer without even asking for a signature. Something had shifted. He was no longer just a name in a report. He was becoming a threat. And the station wasn't going to protect him. He'd seen cases like this. From the other side. But this time, he was in it. And the deeper he went, the more dangerous it would become. 3 days later, Terrell returned to the station. His request for the body cam footage had gone unanswered. No emails. No callbacks. No follow-ups. He approached the front desk again. A new face this time, Officer Ramirez. "I'm following up on a formal complaint. Filed 3 days ago." Ramirez glanced at the monitor, typed something, then frowned. "What's your name again?" "Terrell Monroe. Civil Rights Division. I filed against Deputy Carson. Badge 6047. She searched again, then looked up, her expression unreadable. "Nothing showing." "You said you filed it here?" Terrell's stomach turned cold. "With Sergeant Keene. 2 pages. Hand-delivered. Doesn't show in the system. Maybe it's in review. You can fill out another if you want." He didn't answer. Just stepped back. Eyes scanning the room. At the far end of the station, Keene stood in a hallway, half turned toward him, pretending not to notice. Terrell left the building and stood outside under a low gray sky. He called the courthouse. "Caroline? It's Monroe. Can you check something for me?" "Sure. What's going on?" "I need to know if the precinct has submitted a formal notice to Internal Affairs this week." She put him on hold. 2 minutes later, she came back. Nothing. Not a single filing. He hung up. That evening, Terrell drove to City Hall. He had a friend on the oversight committee, not an ally, just someone who owed him a favor. "I need access to Precinct 9's equipment logs, past 72 hours. "You're asking me to dig internal police records?" "No. I'm asking if any body cam footage has been officially archived or pulled from cloud storage." "From Deputy Carson's unit." The man looked uneasy. "That's encrypted stuff. I'd need admin clearance. Just tell me if a file exists. I don't need content." He sighed, logged in, and searched. Nothing. Deputy Carson's camera hadn't synced since Monday, the night Terrell was detained. 3 hours later, Terrell sat alone in his apartment. He watched grainy security footage from his new outdoor camera. 12:43 a.m. A figure in uniform approached his door. Not for long. Just enough to unscrew the camera. The image froze mid-frame, then went dark. Whoever it was, they weren't hiding anymore. This wasn't about procedure now. It was personal. He paced the room, heart pounding. "They're trying to erase it," he said aloud. "And they think I'll let them." He sat at his desk, opened a drawer, and removed a sealed envelope. Inside, something few people in the city knew existed. A second ID. Issued not by the courthouse, but by the Department of Justice. He stared at it for a long moment, then picked up the phone and dialed. "Special Agent Monroe, requesting federal access. Priority Level 2. There was a pause on the other end. "Authorization granted." "What are we dealing with?" Terrell looked at the screen, where the last frozen frame of the uniformed intruder still glowed. "Corruption. Small town. Real dirty. And I'm already in deep." The next morning, Terrell was already at the courthouse by 6 a.m. He didn't take the main entrance. He entered through the restricted DOJ access corridor in the East Wing. No badge scan needed. His code was still active. Inside a small evidence room, Terrell sat at a DOJ terminal. He typed in the precinct's internal network credentials, ones he had gathered over months, carefully, through cases and court subpoenas. Now, he used them for himself. He searched. Carson, Deputy Thomas, Bodycam sync log, September 14th. Nothing. Then he typed. Patrol vehicle number 24, GPS route, September 14th. And there it was. The vehicle had been active from 11:03 p.m. to 12:12 a.m., moving through Lincoln Heights, including Terrell's address. The timeline matched perfectly. The body cam should have been running. He expanded the entry. A single note had been entered at 12:27 a.m. Error syncing footage. Device malfunction. Camera decommissioned for service. Filed by Sergeant R. Keene. Terrell stared at the screen. A department-issued device failed right after an unlawful detainment, and the very next morning, flagged, inoperable? Filed by the same man who pretended to accept his complaint? He took a screenshot and saved it to an encrypted flash drive. Then he opened a new directory. What he found next made his jaw tighten. A private folder. Hidden, but not encrypted. Labeled Unverified suspect's private log. Inside, dozens of images. Young black men. Parked cars. Street corners. Some circled in red. No charges. No notes. Just faces. And there, near the bottom, was him. Screenshot taken from a nearby street cam, timestamped 2 days before the stop. Marked with a single line. See near Ridgewood. Possibly linked to 1127B. He didn't even know what 1127B was. But that meant only one thing. He hadn't been stopped by accident. He was being watched. A knock on the evidence room door jolted him. "Monroe? You in there?" It was Judge Ramsey, early riser. One of the few people in the courthouse Terrell trusted. Barely. He minimized the screen. "Yeah, just prepping documents for this week." Ramsey stepped in. "You okay?" Terrell paused. "Ever seen a precinct run silent on one of their own?" The judge sighed. "More than once." "You making noise?" Terrell nodded. "Then be ready. 'Cause once you pull that thread, everything comes down with it." Terrell didn't reply. Just inserted a second drive into the terminal. One copy for court. One for something else. The next time they erased a file, they'd have to erase him to finish the job. The warning came in the most casual way possible. An envelope slid under Terrell's office door. No return name. No seal. Just one sentence printed on plain white paper. "This job doesn't come with armor." Terrell stared at it, then folded it twice and placed it in a manila file labeled Harassment Internal. He was already collecting too many of those. By noon, things escalated. He returned from a lunch meeting to find his courthouse security badge had been deactivated. The scanner beeped red. "Rejected." "Try again, sir," the guard said. He did. Same result. "Monroe, right?" "Hold on." The guard made a call. Waited. Then looked up, nervous. "Says you've been removed from internal access. You'll have to enter through visitor processing now." Terrell clenched his jaw, but didn't argue. He knew better than to make a scene in public. Downstairs in visitor check-in, he was asked to empty his pockets. Twice. His briefcase was searched. A guard took a picture of his face for record purposes. New policy, the man said, not making eye contact. When Terrell finally reached his floor, his computer account had also been disabled. No files. No access. No emails. Just a blinking login screen that refused to open. At 3:04 p.m., he received a text from an unknown number. "How deep you want to go, Monroe?" He didn't reply. Instead, he walked down to clerk records and handed them a USB drive. "This is a formal DOJ information request. I want everything pulled on Precinct 9's patrol history for September. I want it stamped and signed." The clerk hesitated. "This needs DOJ-level clearance." Terrell leaned in. "It's coming from a DOJ agent." He placed his alternate badge, the one almost nobody knew about, on the counter. The clerk's eyes widened. No more questions. That night, his apartment felt smaller than usual. Claustrophobic. Every shadow near the window felt like someone watching. At 10:37 p.m., he received an alert. Motion detected hallway cam. He opened the feed. There it was again. A figure standing just beyond the frame. Not moving. Just there. Then the camera cut to black. No sound. No footage. Just silence. Terrell didn't call the police. He didn't need to. Because this wasn't street crime. It was something worse. He sat in the dark, a hand resting on the envelope with the threat note. They'd stripped him of access. Blocked him from every angle. Isolated him. But they still didn't understand one thing. Terrell Monroe didn't need the courthouse to fight. He wasn't done. He was just beginning. At 6:12 a.m., Terrell sat alone in a corner booth of an all-night diner off I-35. No laptop. No notes. Just black coffee and a legal pad. On the paper, he drew 3 columns. 1. Names. 2. Weaknesses. 3. Leverage. He didn't write titles. Just initials and moments, ones he'd collected quietly over the years. People thought his role at the courthouse was routine, policy review, document audits, case summaries. But it wasn't. His real work was quiet pattern mapping, misconduct trends, badge overlaps, internal code corruption. The things no one else had time to notice. He opened his phone, navigated to a hidden partition in the memory. Typed a passphrase. Access granted. Dozens of files appeared. Each one linked to police cases the DA's office had quietly buried. Unlawful traffic stops. Deleted footage. Missing reports. Familiar names. Keene's name appeared in 11. Carson's in 6. He opened a folder marked Cover List P9. There were voice memos. Some were barely audible, but clear enough. A recording played. Look, it's just about making sure certain people know who's watching. Sometimes a scare keeps the city quiet. A second voice laughed. Especially if they think it's just coincidence. It was Carson. And Keene. In their own words. Terrell uploaded the clip to a secured cloud server and encrypted it under DOJ incident code #121R94A just in case. By 8 a.m., he sent a sealed letter to the city's Office of Judicial Oversight. Anonymous. No signature. Inside, a flash drive with the GPS logs, the deleted cam footage notice, and the suspect profiling folder. He didn't need credit. He needed it documented. He was building a trail, so if anything happened to him, it wouldn't die with him. That afternoon, he returned to his apartment and found a yellow envelope taped to his door. Inside was a single item. His old courthouse badge. Snapped in half. The message was clear. He scanned his camera logs. Nothing. Whoever left it knew exactly where the blind spots were. That night, Terrell made a call he'd been holding back for days. The line rang 6 times before someone answered. This is Special Counsel Reyes. This is Monroe. I'm invoking Dormant Clause 7C, internal sabotage, risk of federal interference. There was a pause. Confirmed. Do you need asset support? Terrell shook his head, even though no one could see him. No. Just clearance. Granted. Be careful. If they know you're active, they'll burn everything. Terrell's eyes narrowed. That's the thing. They think they already did. He hung up and opened a new file on his encrypted drive. Title: Reckoning Stage 1. Monday, 9:13 a.m. Every inbox in the district attorney's office received the same anonymous email. Subject line: For internal review. P9 integrity violation. Evidence attached. No signature. No return address. Just one zip file. Inside, a spreadsheet of suppressed reports. Audio clips. The full list of unverified suspect photos. And the note from Keene marking bodycam evidence as malfunctioned 15 minutes after Monroe's unlawful stop. Within the hour, whispers filled the halls. By noon, an emergency meeting was called. Where did this come from? The chief deputy demanded. No one answered. But the fear was real. They tried to erase a man. Now he was writing the rules. Across the street, in a downtown parking structure, Terrell sat inside his car, laptop balanced on his knees. The wireless tether blinked steadily as he monitored server responses. He wasn't watching for clicks. He was watching for movement. And there it was, a silent query fired from Precinct 9's admin console, attempting to trace the metadata. They were trying to find him. Too late. He'd sent it through 3 onion-layered networks, bounced off 2 mirror drives in Canada and Taiwan. At 2:47 p.m., he received a message from an old contact inside the civil litigation wing. They're running internal audits. Keene and Carson just got pulled into separate rooms. People are freaking out. Terrell smiled for the first time in days. But it didn't last. At 5:03 p.m., his apartment door was found pried open. No signs of theft. Nothing missing. Except for one item, the camera hard drive from his hallway, the one with the night footage. He'd already made copies. But it was a message. They knew exactly what mattered. Terrell changed locations. By nightfall, he was in a secure motel 2 towns away, registered under a DOJ ghost ID. No cameras. No credit card trace. And then, just after midnight, his phone buzzed again. It was a system alert. The city server had registered a deletion attempt targeting his anonymous upload. He cut the connection before it could execute. Seconds later, he sent a second package, this one to the State Ethics Commission. Inside it, every recording, every GPS log, and a signed legal affidavit from a retired dispatcher Terrell had convinced to come forward. And this time, it was tagged with a real name. Special Agent Terrell Monroe, DOJ Oversight Division. The gloves were off. The mask was gone. And now, they'd have to deal with him in the open. Tuesday, 7:42 a.m. Sergeant Keene arrived at Precinct 9 to find the doors locked from the inside. 2 men in suits stood waiting. No uniforms. No greetings. You'll need to come with us, sir, one of them said. We're with Internal Affairs, Federal. Keene tried to laugh. What is this? Some stunt. The other agent held up a document. Signed warrant. DOJ jurisdiction. You've been named in a federal inquiry regarding falsified records, obstruction of justice, and destruction of state evidence. Behind him, officers began filing in one by one, silent, avoiding Keene's eyes. No one stood beside him. He was walked out in cuffs. Across town, Deputy Carson wasn't at the station. He was at home, sitting in his garage with the engine off and the radio on. When his phone rang, he saw the caller ID, Precinct 9 desk. He didn't answer. The voicemail was short. Federal investigators are on site. They're asking for you. He didn't go in. At 9 a.m., Terrell received a message from a courthouse secretary he barely knew. They're coming down fast. 3 suspensions. Judge Hargan just ordered a hold on all P9 cases. 1 hour later, City Hall confirmed it. All body cam footage from Precinct 9 was being independently reviewed by state legal observers. The dominoes had started to fall, but Terrell knew better than to celebrate. This was just smoke. The fire still burned beneath. At 12:22 p.m., he noticed something strange in the logs, a sudden bulk download request on the same private server that had hosted the original unverified suspect folder. A trace revealed it came from inside the DA's office. Someone was trying to salvage what they could before it all went public. He launched a counter protocol, deleting the admin tokens and locking access. Whoever it was, they were shut out. But the move exposed something else, a second folder, hidden deeper, labeled only confidential code. November. Inside, internal memos, quiet directives, and an Excel file called non-charged holds by race, district, zip. He opened it and stopped breathing. The list was real. Names, IDs, arrests made, never charged. Dozens of them, all marked by zip codes. 90% of them from predominantly black neighborhoods. He copied it, then picked up his phone. Reyes, we have something else. Bigger than before? Way bigger. A pause. Then move fast. Because now they'll come hard. You're not a name anymore. You're a symbol. Terrell hung up. That night, a press leak exploded. Federal inquiry targets Dallas PD precinct. Dozens of civil rights violations under review. The public didn't know Terrell's name yet, but the system did, and it was running out of time. Wednesday, 6:38 p.m. Terrell returned to his motel room after another closed-door debriefing with state investigators. The sun was going down, the air thick with heat and tension. Inside the room, silence. But on the table, a note. No envelope. No signature. Just a folded sheet of printer paper. Meet alone. 1 hour. Parking structure, 5th floor. Come unarmed. No threat. No name. Just instruction. He stared at it for a long time. Then he went. At 7:41 p.m., Terrell's boots echoed against the concrete of the 5th level, where the sun was bleeding into the skyline. No cars. No wind. Just the hum of distant traffic. A figure stepped out from behind a support beam. It was District Attorney Cliff Merriman. Not a detective. Not a uniform. The top of the legal chain. And the last person Terrell expected to see face to face. Agent Monroe, Merriman said, calm, hands in his pockets. That's who you are now, right? Terrell said nothing. Let's not pretend, Merriman continued. You've caused quite a storm. Keene's suspended. Carson's vanished. Internal Affairs is raiding our servers. Not very civil for a civil rights agent. Still, Terrell stayed silent. Merriman stepped closer. Here's the thing. You got what you wanted. The files are out. People are angry. And truthfully, some of those guys? Yeah, they went too far. He paused. But if you keep pressing, this doesn't end with a press release. It ends with burned careers. Yours included. Terrell's voice finally cut through the air. Is that a threat? No, Merriman said quickly. It's an opportunity. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a sealed folder. You walk away. Right now? You get reinstated. Your badge. Your office. Hell, you want federal rank? I can help make that happen. Quietly. You've made your point. Terrell didn't move. Or, Merriman's smile tightened. Or we bury you in process. In hearings. In legal noise. Nothing criminal. Just enough to drown you in paperwork until you're too tired to move. You'll still have your name, but it'll be buried under 1,000 footnotes. He extended the folder. Terrell looked at it, then turned and started walking away. You sure you want to do this? Merriman called out. Terrell paused, back turned. You think I came this far for a desk and a pension? Silence. Then Terrell added, without turning. Tell the others, I don't want a seat at the table. I want the table replaced. And he disappeared into the stairwell. That night, Terrell uploaded the final batch. The November files. The zip code holds. The unverified program. The memo with Merriman's signature. And this time, he didn't encrypt it. He sent it directly to 3 federal journalists, 2 watchdog organizations, and the DOJ Inspector General. No more shadows. The next blow wouldn't be silent. It would be loud. Friday, 9 a.m. Terrell Monroe sat quietly in the back of the courtroom. No badge, no title visible, just a civilian, watching. The presiding judge read the docket aloud. Case hashtag 273B. Internal Oversight Review versus Precinct 9. Allegations include falsified arrest records, discriminatory profiling, and obstruction of evidence. Rows of seats were filled. Media were absent by design. This wasn't for the cameras. It was for the record. Keene entered first, in a wrinkled suit, no badge on his belt. He didn't look at anyone. Then came the new names. A lieutenant, a junior prosecutor, a clerk from the evidence room, all caught in the documents Terrell had exposed. And still, the system wasn't over. The station still stood. New names would take old desks. But something had changed. The whispers were louder now. The secrets fewer. Outside the courtroom, Terrell stood in the sunlight. That's when she approached. Judge Ava Lenning, one of the few who had believed him from the beginning. Quietly, in closed meetings, with no promises and no speeches. "Thought I'd find you here," she said softly. "Just making sure the record gets written." "You wrote more than a record, Monroe." He gave a tired smile. "Doesn't feel like it. I didn't dismantle the system. Didn't even get Merriman charged." She nodded. "But you broke the code they used to hide behind. That's harder to do than convictions." A long silence. Then she asked, "What now?" Terrell pulled an envelope from his coat pocket and handed it to her. Inside, his final resignation from all DOJ field activity. Effective immediately. "I'm done. I started this fight as a man defending his rights. Not a symbol." She didn't argue. He added, "Besides, they'll expect me to keep going. To build a career out of this. Become a name. But that's not the victory. Then what is?" Terrell looked out toward the courthouse lawn, where 3 teenagers sat on the steps, laughing, carefree. "That I can walk past a badge and know it won't stop me in my own driveway again. Even if just once. And for now, that was enough." He walked away. No cameras. No applause. Just the sound of footsteps leaving a place that had once tried to erase him. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that inspire action and hope.